Hello and welcome to Insight. I'm Raychel Harvey-Jones. Well, October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and that's what today's show is all about, awareness of Down syndrome. Joining me on the Insight set today, it is a full house here, I can tell you. I've got Rocky, Stacey, Victor and Christina, and of course, a plethora of entertainment here, I can tell you. First of all, guys, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for
I really appreciate you coming in to talk about exactly what this month is all about, Down syndrome awareness. Stacey, tell us a little bit, first of all, about your role at Girls Inc. of Washington County.
I am the volunteer coordinator at Girls Inc. and then I recently just took a new position as a pregnancy prevention facilitator for a program called It's Your Game, which will be facilitating in 4 of the middle schools this year in the county.
She's a very persuasive volunteer coordinator, I can tell you. Now, we all have this idea. I kind of know what Down syndrome is. I don't really know how it affects, who it affects. It's basically an extra chromosome that affects the speed in which a child develops mentally and physically. Rocky's your first child. How did it feel when you were told that Rocky would be suffer with Down syndrome?
We found out when I was about 28 weeks pregnant, and honestly, I was completely devastated. I know we did not do prenatal testing because we had said it didn't matter. Regardless, it wasn't going to make any difference, so we didn't want to take the risk of having those tests done. So when I got the call saying that that's what was causing his growth restrictions, I broke down. I was pretty upset because I really didn't know what it meant or what it would mean for our child. When I told Rocky, he said, "Stacey, it didn't matter. That's why we didn't do the prenatal testing, because it didn't matter then. It doesn't matter now. It's fine." And then it was like, okay, it is fine, but I still don't know what it means. So it's just a little scary and a little overwhelming.
And by the way, it's Rocky that's giving us the musical interlude, if you can hear that musical interlude. So you admit that you were devastated. You didn't know what it meant. You didn't know how it would affect your family. It was a little different for you, Christina. Tell us about your situation.
Yes, I found out when I was 13 weeks pregnant with Madison that she would be born with Down syndrome. And at the time, the doctors gave us our 3 options, which were abortion, adoption, and parenting. And we were a young couple, and finding out this news, it was a big surprise to us. The doctors gave us all the choices, but they told us it would be difficult for us as a young couple to parent a child with Down syndrome, that if she was born with heart conditions, which she was born with 3 heart conditions, that it would be expensive for our family and it might be difficult in the future. And we already had a son who was 2 years older than her, so it might be a struggle for our family. But we chose parenting because she wasn't a mistake. She was our child, and even though she had an extra chromosome, she was ours, and we loved her.
It affects about 1 in 800 children across the U.S. And it's amazing to me that we still hear stories of people not really knowing how to deal with people with disabilities in their everyday life. Anybody looking in from the outside today sees 4 children all playing, not really distinguishing which is the typical child, which is the Down syndrome. What is the difference? What has the difference been for you, Stace, in kind of parenting, dealing with what we call a typical child and dealing with Rocky?
We felt fortunate that for us, with Rocky being our first child, we had nothing to compare it to.
Right.
So I think that gave us an advantage because we were just excited any advance that he made. We didn't say, oh, well, he's 6 months, he should be doing this, this, and this. I didn't know what he should be doing, and I didn't look on the internet to see what his development should be. Things definitely took longer. I think he was probably 7 months before he even held his head up by himself. So that's a huge difference, but he does, he crawls, he walks, he talks. It all took longer than a typical child may, but he certainly can do all those things.
How do people react to you, Christina? I mean, you've got Parker, so you did have that, typical development, how a child should develop, when they should walk, when they should talk. And then now you have Madison. How do people react to you having a Down syndrome child?
We have a lot of people who accept her exactly the way she is, and they see what we do. We do a lot of physical therapy and occupational therapy, and she has to work a lot harder to do things that other kids do naturally. But a lot of people are very accepting of her, and they support our family and all that we endure.
I think that the public, law enforcement in general, people in general are aware of how people with disabilities should be treated.
I don't don't think so. And I think even having a child with Down syndrome, like, you just don't think of those things. How different health conditions can affect their response to authority to anybody. And I think as a society in general, we just should be more patient with everybody. Labeled disabilities, not labeled disabilities, because you don't know their background or what's going on in their life.
How is life different at home? How is life different than how you treat Landon and how you treat Rocky?
There's really not a difference. I treat both of them exactly the same, and I don't know, one thing that was taught to us, because we didn't know a lot about Down syndrome, was the vertebrae in the neck. So at 2 years old and thereafter, you're supposed to get x-rays to find out, because the bones could be fused, but I never let that affect it. Any way that we carried on or we played, I mean, we were tossing and throwing, and I don't think you should treat a child differently just because they have a disability. They're still a child. So.
Victor, obviously it's a bit different. You've got a girl and a boy, so that's a little bit different. But how was the parenting experience different? I mean, I imagine that when you hear for the first time that you're pregnant and you're excited, and now you've been told that you've got this child with Down syndrome, you're not really sure what it is. You don't really know how to handle it. But how is the parenting different from you between Parker and Madison? Madison, by the way, who's fallen asleep, we're obviously boring her, and the rest of the children have escaped. We thought we'd barricaded them in, but they've actually escaped. But they'll come back. I still hear a harmonica over there somewhere. But how is it different for you, Victor?
I don't know. I still treat her like she's just like a brother almost. You know, it's not that she's a girl. It's like we all still, the playtime's still the same, and we still play rough. Parker's extremely rough with her, and everybody thinks I'm crazy because I throw her up and down and stuff like that. But the playtime she takes with her brother is crucial.
Oh, it makes you tough growing up with a brother.
She loves every minute of it.
She really adores him. Their sibling relationship is so close.
You have this huge support group. How helpful is that to you?
I think it's great. We delivered down Shady Grove Hospital. We were connected with some families around that area who were very comforting. Hey, we know how you feel. We've got a child with Downs also, and they invited us into their home, their group. And I think at the time it was probably 20 or 30 different families, and we got a chance to come in and see other children with Downs. We got a chance to see kids that are older, so we had any questions about anything, we could ask questions, and they were very, very supportive.
For more information on Down syndrome, you can head to the following website. Until next time on Insight, thanks for watching.